Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is SKTV coming to you live from Phoenix, Arizona. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for joining us this morning, this afternoon, this evening, depending where you are. But again, I want to say welcome to SKTV. My name is Sekou Kenneth. My colleagues will be joining us in a little bit. Speaking of Mr. Steve Boley and Tavina Cole. And yes, just as I said, Steve Boley just joined us. Miss Tevina Cole will also be joining us in a little bit. But if not, Mr. Bully is here. Also, today we want to inform you that we are privileged to have with us today Mr. Alexander B. Cummings, the political leader for the Alternative National Congress, the ANC, former presidential candidate, and also a presidential hopeful for the upcoming 2023 uh, general and presidential election in the Republic of Liberia. Mr. Cummings is the political leader for the ANC. So he's here today to have a very, very good conversation regarding the just ended Trump up case that we believe was orchestrated against him simply to stall the progress of his campaign. I want to know exactly what is on his mind and what he's thinking and what's going on moving forward. So let me bring Steve in so we can start this conversation. Steve, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Cunning. Good morning to you. Good morning to our viewers. Good afternoon to some. Good night, good evening to those of you following us from all around the world, especially those in Liberia. Want to say welcome to SKTV. While you are joining us, help us to share the show, invite someone. Um, we are here today for another stimulating, thought-provoking conversation with Mr. Alexander B. Cummings. And as we always say on SKTV, the Liberian people are the most important people on earth. That is why we are here to have Liberia's conversation. We also want to recognize the Liberian women as the most beautiful women on earth. I don't think anybody can justify that or dispute that. I want to welcome you to the show today. Today, as we see, is Thursday, um, June 16, 2022. Welcome to each and every one of you. And thank you for helping us share the show. Mr. Kind of back to you.
So thank you, Steve. Just also to let you know, we were informed by the Truth FM that they are carrying the audio live. So those of you listening to us on the radio, want to say welcome again to SKTV. Again, the conversation is going to be very, very much interesting, especially you don't have a dull moment with Mr. Cummings because pretty much every question you ask him, he will give you the answer, maybe more than what you expect. But yes, indeed, it is privileged to be here today. I want to encourage each and every one of you to make sure to share the show if you haven't done so. For those of you who just joined, or again, this is SKTV coming to you live from Phoenix, Arizona. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to play one song, one of our favorites, to play that so that we can use that time to share the show. So everybody, share the show, please. That's what all we ask of you. Share the show so we can have this conversation going. And by the way, Mr. Cummings is going to be here for just 1 hour 30 minutes. And the 1 hour 30 minutes, this is how it's going to go. The first 1 hour, we will have a conversation with him. We will ask him questions and answer. Then after 1 hour, we will open the line to our audience, both in Liberia and in the diaspora, so that the audience can call in and ask questions. So Mr. Cummings will have the opportunity to respond to the audience for the second segment, which will be the next 30 minutes. After that, Mr. Cummings will take a leave, and then we will continue with the show, analyze the show, the interview, and also entertain calls from other member of our audience to come and tell us exactly what they think of the interview. So this is how exactly it's going to go. That said, let's play this song here just for maybe like 2 or 3 minutes. so we can use that time to share the show, and we'll be back momentarily.
Hey, you got my nabi. I'm making the people that feeling my heat.
T12 on the beat.
You must show me respect when you calling my name, oh. Show me respect when you talking about me, yeah. You must show me respect when you calling my name, oh. Show me respect when you talking about me, yeah. You must show me respect. Show me respect, oh. Show me respect when you calling my name, yeah. Show me respect when you talking about me, yeah. Up in Ghana equal, yeah, yeah. Up in Ghana equal, baby. Call me the pro, call me the shiggy, call me the pro. You can call me the shiggy, and I do it before, I can do it again. Call me the dada, I can do it again. You must show me respect when you calling my name, oh. Show me respect when you talking about me, yeah. You must show me respect when you calling my name, oh. Show me respect when you talking about me, yeah. You must show me respect. Show me respect, oh. If you don't know about me, why call my name? If you don't know about me, why spoil my name? Because I'm a musician, ah yeah yeah. Because I'm a footballer, ah yeah yeah. Because I'm a politician, ah yeah yeah. Because I am a pastor, ah yeah yeah. Yeah yeah, yeah yeah, yeah yeah, yeah yeah. You must show me respect when you calling my name, oh. Show me respect when you talking about me, yeah. You must show me respect when you calling my name, oh. Show me respect when you talking about me, yeah. You must show me respect. Show me respect, oh. I spend the money, but I don't care. You do the talking, and I don't care. Show me respect when you calling my name, yeah. Show me respect when you talking about me, yeah. All things are not equal, you must show me respect, oh. If you want some blessings, show me respect. If you want to live longer, show me respect. I say, check my records, check my name, oh. The records out there with clarity and distinction. Satya, proceed. Call me the pro, call me the shiggy. You can call me the pro, call me the shiggy. You must show me respect when you calling my name, oh. Show me respect when you talking about me, yeah. You must show me respect when you calling my name, yeah. Show me respect, just to bully them. You must show me respect, these are bully them. Show me respect. You must.
All right, folks. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for sharing the show. If you haven't done so, I want to say go ahead and share it, because this is going to be a very interesting conversation. Once again, I want to welcome Mr. Alexander Cummings here once again. Mr. Cummings is always available when we call him. The last time he was supposed to be here on Sunday, but there was a miscommunication. It was that fault came from me personally. I want to own up to that. So I want to apologize to our audience for the miscommunication. But it is said it's better late than never. Now Mr. Cummings is here. Yes, I just got confirmation from the radio station that we are live on the radio, and in fact, I was sent a recording directly from the radio to make to confirm to me that yes, indeed, we are live on the radio. So, with all further ado, I want to bring Mr. Cummings in to start the conversation. Mr. Cummings, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Siku, and good evening, Steve. Good to be with you again. I guess good morning to some people, good afternoon to others, and good evening to the rest. But it's my pleasure to join you this evening.
All right. So, like I said earlier, we apologize for the miscommunication last time. We kind of like mistake the date, and then what happened? A lot of people show up, and they were just asking, "Where's Mr. Cummings? Where's Mr. Cummings?" One of my good friends from New Jersey, he told me, I was on the show for a little bit, but because Mr. Cummings were not there, I left. So every good conversation that happened after that, he missed it. So he was like, "Oh, yeah." So he didn't actually uh, stay on because you were not on. And now that you're here, I believe they will all show up. So I want to say welcome again to SKTV. So, Mr.
Thank you.
Cummings,
Thank you.
yeah, given what you have been through lately, I can say for the past 6 months, if you will, and I want to know how you feeling right now. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm feeling very relieved, Sekou and Steve. As you know, I've said all along, the the accusations, the trial was all bogus. There was no basis. But I also remind people, and sometimes remind myself, that as a man of faith, I think God wanted me to experience our judicial system because until you experience something, in person live, it's kind of academic because we know it's bad. It doesn't work very well. We know the executive branch weaponizes and corrupts the judiciary, but experiencing it for myself, I know now, and I promise the Liberian people that given the opportunity to serve our country as its leader, we will focus on fixing the judicial system. And I think God wanted me to experience it firsthand, to see the issues, the challenges. I will know the right questions to ask. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling relieved. I'm feeling excited. I'm feeling energized. And we're going to be working, Sekou and Steve, to make our case to Liberian people to give us a chance to serve them so we can do the work required to transform Liberia.
All right, thank you. I mean, that's good to know. Good to know you are feeling good and feeling energized. And like as I can see, you seem very much fired up. So, yes, indeed. So the last time we played your address to the nation here, and we somehow analyze it, and that means we somehow um, talk about issues that you touch, interpret it the way we understood it, but there's nobody that can better interpret what you meant in those, brilliant speech uh, to to the highest extent. So, from the opening of the speech, you first of all extend appreciation to your supporters, your followers. Specifically, you made mention of the ANC partisans and the Liberty Party. Why?
Yeah, so um, the partisans of the ANC have been and continue to be extremely loyal and supportive. And they really believe in what we're trying to do about changing our country. And so our partisans here in Liberia and our partisans around the world, when everybody doubted, when some people were saying, oh, maybe Mr. Cummings did something wrong, ANC partisans never had any doubt. I did not have to remind them, as I do many other people, that we didn't change anything, that this framework agreement, and you and Steve have heard me say this, and hopefully this is the last time we'll talk about, the trial. But we operated under that agreement for almost 2 years. We went to election. We won. Nobody had any problems until we were pushing this election of the standard bearer. And I tell people there was nothing in the agreement that gave me any advantage over anybody else. And then, of course, the Solicitor General and the Minister of Justice were even forcing over the evidence. But the ANC partisans never doubted. They supported us to the end. And I must be acknowledged thanks and gratefulness to them. And similarly, the partisans of the Liberty Party. One would expect Sekou, the ANCers, to support me. That's kind of the political party, we all together. But when we needed uh, somebody outside the ANC the most to support us, the Liberty Party was there. Musa Ability and Liberty Party was there for us. And I would be ungrateful. I would not be true to myself if I also did not acknowledge the Liberty Party for supporting us, for standing with us when many other people were ducking and diving and not with us. So it was very important that I acknowledged upfront. And then, but beyond the Liberty partisans and the ANC partisans, there were librarians across the board, Sekou, that supported us, believed in us. In fact, I would argue that the lawsuit made us more popular. As you know, they're saying that no publicity is bad publicity, right? It's what you do with the publicity. And so we are more of a household name today than we were prior to the trial. And the good news is we were completely vindicated. And now Liberians know it was a political persecution. They were trumped up charges, but the name is now everywhere in the length and breadth of our country. And so I want to thank all supporters, all believers for your prayers. A lot of people are praying for me. Our Muslim brothers and sisters, our Christian brothers and sisters, and I need to acknowledge and thank all the supporters. It was inspiring. It made me feel good that we had these many people who actually cared for our trials and tribulations.
Okay, thank you for that response. So, yeah, so on the issue of the case itself, I believe this, like you said, this is going to be the last time I personally going to even ask you this question about the case. Now that the case is dropped, many believe that one of the contributing factors that led to the dropping of the case against you was the report, the forensic investigative report. One of my friends told me he was against the idea before of you that why you have to waste your money on this. But then after, when the case was dropped, he was like, I think this was one of the major contributing factors to this guy dropping the case. Do you feel that way? And if so, what are you going to do about this case now that you were clear of all wrongdoing? What are you going to do about this case moving forward?
So I do believe, Sekou, that the forensic investigative report by Mrs. Sherry Blair, who is a barrister, a lawyer, eminent lawyer, human rights lawyer in our firm, I do think it was a significant contributor to the dropping of the case. But I think there were other considerations and factors in addition to that. So the answer to your question, yes, it was an important, significant factor. But we also reached out to ECOWAS. We had meetings with all of the, or most, I should say, not all, I just want to be accurate, but with many of the African ambassadors accredited here, the Nigerian ambassador, Ghanaian ambassador. We reached out to ECOWAS to share the facts. We met with the U.S. ambassador, the U.S. embassy early on. And I think it was a combination of all of that. But I think most importantly, though, is they didn't have there was no evidence. Sekou and Steve, after 5 months, normally allegation of tampering, fraud, I'm not a lawyer, but it's evidentiary. It's based on documents. You look at the documents and the facts, and you can tell quite quickly whether somebody forged something or changed something, etc. And this is why it only took Mrs. Blair's firm about 3 or 4 weeks when we sent them all the evidence to come to the conclusion. I don't know if you had a chance to read the documents. The report is about 44 pages. The executive summary says it all, but they were very meticulous in going through exhibit by exhibit with all the conclusions they had supporting facts. So I think the fact that the Solicitor General and the Minister, they had that fuss, right? That public fuss, right?
Yeah.
I think the fact that there was no evidence, the Blair report, I think ECOWAS behind the scenes also reached out and other embassies accredited. I think the combination of all of that is what forced them to drop this case. You know, in my speech, I mentioned the fact that uh, the Supreme Court's decision actually had nothing to do with my case, but they needed an exit. They needed an excuse, right? And although we did not agree with the Supreme Court's ruling, but it's our premier court, the top court in the land. We respect their decision. And I said in my speech, we wish the UP well, we wish the ALP well in their journey. But it was a combination of all of those things. A long answer to your question, but a combination of all of those things that resulted in the dismissal of the case.
Yeah, but the other part of the question was what are you going to do about this particular case moving forward? Are you going to counter suit? Are you going to say, you know what, let Bagan be Bagan, let move on, focus on presidency and what have you? What is the next move?
So and I said in the speech as well that my natural instincts is who I am. It reflects me is to look ahead, to not look backward, to not look behind. I may have said on one of our interviews, Siku and Steve, that you cannot do anything about yesterday. In fact, 30 seconds ago, you can't change or do anything about it, but you can learn from it. It can be instructive, and shame on us when you don't learn from your past, right? But you can't do anything about it. But I can do something about what I'm doing now. This conversation I'm having with you, I can impact it now, and I can impact the future by my actions. And so it's my natural nature to look ahead, to look forward, and not to look backwards. And so I'm going to look forward. I'm going to focus on making my case to Liberian people. I'm going to be traveling the length and breadth of Liberia. I was in Kakata last week, Saturday, very successful visit. I will be in Bomi this week, Saturday. I'm sure it will be equally successful. And those are just examples of the fact that I'm looking forward, I'm looking ahead. I gotta tell you, the number of people in Liberia that were relieved, that took a big sigh, they breathed, they came up for air. They were so
Like,
nervous, right?
like taking a deep breath.
Taking a deep breath, right? It was like somebody had pushed their head down in the water, you know, and they let it come out to breathe. And that sentiment was heartwarming, the number of people. And I promise you, Stephen and Sekou, I don't like to exaggerate. A lot of people are reaching out, want to help, want to get involved. My days are getting longer and longer. It's okay. So when I finish here,
I
I'm
can
meeting
tell.
another group at 7:30. I'm making another group, Zoom call, a live group at 7:30 or Zoom call at 8:30, and it goes on and on and on. So it's exciting. But I'm looking forward. I'm looking ahead. I'm not looking backward.
That's great. That's great. That's good to know. That this is something that I said in the past. I recommended that, and I'm hoping whether or not you listen to me, but I'm hoping that my whatever I recommended it was something that you are looking to, which is good. So I'm going to be going to Steve, but just one last question on this particular issue. You said that this case you have learned from it and you have tested our judicial system, and that gave you the opportunity to fix it. What did you see wrong, and how can you fix it as president?
So my experience, I described to some friends, partisan supporters, that it felt like it was almost, when you get into the Liberian judicial system, it's like you're playing Russian roulette. That if you don't have resources, if you don't have strong advocates, your fate, it can go either way. Sekou, I'm told that there are many people in jail today, and have been in jail for a year and more, who cases have not been brought up. And just because they don't have money, they don't have anybody speaking for them, and they're just languishing in jail. And so when I think about judicial system, like many other things in the country, we'll first make sure we got good qualified judges. We'll make sure we're not politicizing the judicial system, the judges, the clerks. We'll make sure that people are well paid a living
Okay.
wage, so that they're not tempted to take bribes. We'll make sure we don't politicize the Ministry of Justice, that the prosecutors and lawyers are only going after the evidence, going after the facts. You know where most Liberians experience the justice system? It's at the magisterial level, the level where we were being tried. It's at entry level. So we'll make sure our magistrates are trained. Some are lawyers, some are not. Are trained, they understand the law. We'll make sure they compensated well. We'll make sure they have the right facilities. We'll make sure we insist that they expedite my trial. When cases are at the magisterial level, it's supposed to be done within about 30 days. And we went almost 6 months. We will make sure that justice is served. Justice delayed is justice denied. We'll make sure the rules are applied and they apply consistently. So to summarize quickly, we want to make sure we got trained judges paid so they're not tempted, trained clerks, all the folks in the court system. We want to make sure the Ministry of Justice is not politicized, because it was in my case. We want to make sure the Solicitor General in our Cummings administration is looking at the murders and the rape and the allegations of real corruption, and not spending all time and resources prosecuting a misdemeanor. And we want consistency, people to be treated fairly, whether you got resources or not. So there were some learnings there, but those are the kinds of things we will do to fix the judicial system, starting with the magisterial courts, because again, that's where most Liberians experience justice in our country.
Okay. Let's bring Steve in. Steve?
Mr. Kane, welcome back to SKTV, Mr. Cummings, and good evening to you. I'd like
Steve,
to.
for some reason, your video is kind of like blurry.
Yeah,
I
you
can't-
blurred.
Yeah,
You're blurred, Steve.
I don't know. Maybe your internet is kind of not doing you justice, but hopefully
Is it much better?
We can hear you. We can hear
Yeah,
you.
we
but
can
you're
hear you
blurred.
though. Go ahead. Okay, it's just like
Go ahead.
people who want to see, your, because me are dark, Mr. Cummings is dark. People want to see your bright face, and they're not just gonna see it. So it's good like this. Let's go.
Yeah. I had him from Mr. Cummings because they dropped the charges against him.
Okay, that's good.
Well, let me. I'd like to always get to the bread and butter issues in Liberia or about Liberia, but most recently, as of yesterday, based on different reports in the U.S., which is one of our strongest, biggest ally, big brother, however you want to term it, the Federal Reserve announced a 0.5%, rate hike, and that would eventually trickle down to us as a nation or as a people in Liberia. We feel the trickle down effect. How does Mr. Comey address this situation to the Liberian people so that not only that they're prepared, but they understand what's going on globally, and also, just setting them up for what's going to happen, or explain it to the common man so that they know exactly what's happening around the world, that they were going to feel the pinch of it at some point.
Yeah. So the increase was actually 0.75. So it's a little higher than what you suggested. It was 0.75% increase, which I think is the biggest one-time increase since sometimes in the late 90s or something. So it's significant. There will be, as you suggest, Steve, a trickle-down impact to us because, the U.S. dollar trades here in Liberia. And we're very dependent on the U.S. and the U.S. dollar. But and the other thing I like to say is I like to be fair and balanced. So I always say that, the increase in the price of oil, for example, or petrol in Liberia, we can't lay all of that at the foot of President Weah because the external factors. I also say there's no question about the fact that whether you talk about the rate increase in the U.S. that just happened yesterday, or you talk about the impact of COVID on the world economy, those things had impact on the Liberian economy as well. And so, we can't put that at the foot of the president. Having said that, though, what the president can and should take responsibility for, and Liberia should hold him accountable for, is what has he done to minimize the impact of all of these things? Because all of these things have had or will have an impact on our country. So if you take, for example, fuel prices, um, we have amongst the highest fuel prices on the African continent, if not the highest, one of the highest. A lot of what is driving the increase in fuel prices in Liberia is the taxes, the tariffs, and taxes on fuel. So something that this government should do and have not done is to reduce those taxes, those tariffs on every gallon of fuel, or every gallon of gasoline or diesel. And that's what we would have done differently. We would have anticipated the increase and we would have done something different. Uh, the the rate increase that happened in the U.S. specifically, Steve, is meant to slow down inflation in the U.S. Um, but it will dampen demand in the U.S. So it will have some impact here. Um, the impact will lag, but it will not be as material as it will in the U.S. Where it would hurt Liberia is, for example, if there is a recession in the U.S. or the economy slows down, it will impact Liberians, you who are working, and it will impact your income. Your ability to remit money to Liberia may be impacted as a result of that rate increase, for example, because any slowdown in the U.S. economy indirectly affects many economies around the world, including in Liberia. To the extent it dampens demand, which is actually what they want to do. But if it does, it will ultimately impact any of our exports that go to the United States or indirectly ends up in the United States. It will have some impact on there. So what we have to do is we got to just manage our economies efficiently. We got to take the limited resources we have and invest it in things that directly impact people. I will give you a real practical example. If we could reduce the amount of stealing and corruption, and we could take those savings and pay healthcare workers, police officers, civil servants, military people, everybody a little bit more money, it will help to ease their burden. And it will actually help to stimulate the economy rather than a few people keeping the money for themselves under their beds or sending it to Dubai or to Ghana or to the US, whatever. If we spread the money around, even incrementally around the country, that bitter ball seller, somebody will be able to buy maybe an extra meal. Rather than one meal a day, they may be able to buy 2 meals a day because we've increased their salaries. So you can see the multiply effect. And it will ease a bit of the burden. It will ease a bit of the inflationary pressure as opposed to a few people spending the money or the wastage that occurs or the overcharging for goods and services that the government procures. So those are things we can control, and it's how we allocate the funds, how we use it to try to reduce putting the pressure on the Liberian people.
Thank you, Mr. Cummings. Steve, you just log off, trying to come back so that the image can be better. So while we wait Steve to come back, I wanted to ask you. Okay, I think Steve is back. Hopefully his stuff is good now. Oh, okay, much better, Steve. So
Well, thank you.
You may continue with your question.
So, Mr. Cummings, in keeping in line with
And then, Mr. Cummings, if you will, I want you to please make somebody answer brief so that way we can squeeze in as much as we can.
All right. Good feedback. Well taken.
Yeah.
So, in keeping with issues that concern the Liberian people, especially those on ground in Liberia, I'd like to pivot to different communities, such as most recently on the 13th of June. And thanks also to you and the rest of the audience who kind of checked me in there with a 0.75% increase. I misspoke on that. Thank you. But going back to my question here, as of June 13, one of the groups in Liberia, termed as the Albino community, they've called on the government of Liberia to help them, or quote unquote, keep to support them. What does Mr. Cummings do with these different groups, such as the Group of 77 and other people who are not feeling, the economy, as someone would say, who are not, who have become quote unquote spectators in their own economy and so forth. What does the administration, Mr. Cummings, do to address these problems where typical Liberians, as we might say, are not experiencing anything, are not enjoying the country, they're not experiencing anything, they're not benefiting from their country and the resources? What do you do to handle this situation?
So, Sekou, you got to make your question short too. You want short answers.
Yeah, sure. I think so too. That was a good one, Steve. He got you on that.
No.
He got you on that one.
No, so there's quick, just to be quick, there's a political answer and then there's the right answer. The political answer would say, Steve, we will find the money and resources to try to help those communities, to try to uplift them, whether it's the Zogos, the albinos, and we got to do some specific things to intervene in those communities. But the right answer is we got to fix the country overall. We got to fix the economy. We got to grow the economy. We got to create jobs. If we do those things, everybody will benefit. Now we got to train these young people, the albinos and others, to take advantage of the jobs we create and growing the economy. But the right answers, it will take time, is that we got to fix the economy. We got to create jobs. If we fix the educational system, almost done. We fix the educational system, we fix the healthcare system, we fix infrastructure, it will benefit everybody. And people would think less about, their sort of immediate stuff. So that's the right answer, the political answer, and we have to make some interventions into each of those communities, spend some money to help them immediately, and we'll do that
Okay.
to help their plight and that kind of stuff.
Yes, just before I go to Sekou, most recently you were on one of the stations earlier this week in Liberia, and you were asked about the question of, growing a budget, such as a few months back, you said, the budget of Liberia can be 1 billion. Now the government has made it almost quarter or more than half of what you said. One of your reservation was, it's a good step, but quote unquote, how would they raise the revenue? So now my question to you is, if you were to project 1 billion or more for Liberia, maybe after you've taken over, how do you raise this revenue, this 1 billion revenue, considering everything that's going on in the world and everything that's happening now? How do you raise the 1 billion?
Yeah. So, first of all, and this will be a slightly longer answer than you want, Sekou. So,
No, I'm good.
But
I actually, I'm not going to restrict you. I just want us to be conscious of time. So because
right,
you are leaving,
right.
with me, I want you to stay as long for the longest, but you
Right.
have to go. So just want to make sure we squeeze in as much
Right.
questions as we can.
Sure. But so first of all, Steve, with everything this government has done and said and promised, they have not delivered. Beginning of the administration, they were going to fix all of these roads. There was the BOMAP loan. They made all of these pronouncements and it never materialized. So I'm not sure they would deliver this revenue that they're saying. I hope they do. We'll see if they do or not. But I got some questions. I think they will be recasting the budget very shortly. The second thing I would say is not just about raising the money, it's about how the money is being allocated and spent. And if we have time, I can give some examples of where, they are spending $7.3 million on agriculture. And they're spending $10 million on the EPS to protect the president and his family, basically. So it's not just how much you raise, it's how it's allocated, right? Everybody knows that Monrovia is dirty. They're spending $600,000 on cleaning up Monrovia City Corporation to clean it up. They're spending $700 quote unquote projects for the president. The speaker, the president pro temp, salary is $21,000 a month. That's more than the speaker where you are in the US or in the state of Arizona or the majority leader, more than they're making. And the US economy is over $1 trillion economy, right? So it's not just about the amount, it's how it's spent. That's one thing. But we've talked about some of the things we'll do to raise revenue. One is, I keep seeing this thing is we got to stop the stealing. And and take that money and put it in a more productive things to do that will help generate revenue. I've talked about the fact that we need different sources of revenue, like ecotourism. We need to develop that industry. I've said that we need to invest in agriculture. If you do, it will create jobs. It will reduce the amount of money we send out to buy goods and services. It will indirectly contribute to growing the national budget. I talk about waste, taking out waste. If we do that, again, the money can be redeployed to more productive resources. I talked about our natural resources, and the government is supposed to be getting more money from acetal, metal, etc., etc. So let's hope they do. But I said we need to get more value from our natural resources. A lot of gold, diamond stuff just leaves Liberia. Or a few people get bribed and stuff, but it just leaves. We need to get more value. We do, we'll raise our revenue. So it's a number of things that we'll do that will allow us to raise our revenue over time, but it can be done.
Thank you. Back to you, Sekou.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for those brilliant questions. So, Mr. Cummings, thank you very much. Um, so, so I'm going back to the speech. In the speech, you, I think.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Okay. So in the speech, you said the CPP will be on the ballot 2023, and the CPP will win. Is that correct?
Correct.
The CPP will be on the ballot, the CPP will win. Where is that sense of confidence, that sense of renewed confidence is coming from, given what we know about the CPP?
Yeah, so, it's a good question. I'm glad you asked, and I can clarify to Liberian people that the CPP still exists. So the Unity Party and All Liberia Party have left the CPP, but the ANC and Liberty Party are still in the CPP. In fact, we will be having a meeting next week where the CPP and LP will be getting together to talk about the way forward with regards to the CPP, how we can
You mean
recraft.
ANC and LP?
Excuse me, ANC and LP. Thanks for the correction.
Sure.
ANC and LP will be getting together next week to talk about how we change the agreement. We want to bring in other parties. The simple way to put it, this will be quick. I'd say to people that the CPP is an idea. The idea is to restore good governance, grow the economy, etc. That idea is not dead. And the CPP was a vehicle. If you're coming from Kakata to Monrovia, and your destination is Monrovia, and the vehicle breaks down in Mount Barclay, you repair the vehicle, you put new tires, whatever, and you continue to Monrovia, right? So the vehicle broke down. ALP and UP left, but Liberty Party and ANC are still in there. We'll fix the vehicle, we'll retool it, and we'll continue the journey to Monrovia. So the CPP will be on the ballot. It will not just be ANC and LP. We'll invite other parties to join us. But we think CPP as a brand, as a name, still resonates with the country and people. And so we want to keep it, change it, retool it, fix it, and continue the journey to Monrovia, in my example.
Okay. So many people argue that Mr. Cummings, no, I will not say many people, but some people will argue that you are wasting your time, given the fact that in as much as you are now a household name to many people, not the Cummings that we used to see 2017. However, if you ask questions as to who, if election was held today, who do you want as president? The name George Manewia, Joseph Nyuma Boakai, vice versa, will come before Lieutenant Cummings. That's the belief of many people. And you still believe that you can win this thing. Why so?
Well, because the several reasons. The many people who are saying that, I don't know if they represent the majority of our people, right? There's always to talk about the silent majority, the people that don't talk, that are not touched. And that statement, if you will, is something that is being propagated particularly by Unity partisans. But even, let's say it was true. Let's say, George Weah, Joseph Boga, Alexander Cummings in that order.
Mhm.
I am confident, Sequin and Steve, that in the next, I think it's about 16 months now, we will make the case to our people. We are going to do the work. I'm confident because I'm confident we'll do the work. I'm confident because I'm confident we'll have the resources. And I believe if we do the work, if we make our case, if we travel the length and breadth of Liberia, we will be successful. All my life I've been underestimated. Uh, Coca-Cola is a $250 billion corporation, right? When I left, it was
$250 million?
250 billion is the market cap, the market value on the New York Stock
Wow.
Exchange. You can check it, right? When I left, it was about 180 billion. I've retired almost 7 years ago now. So it's grown. But the point is, a Liberian boy from Point Four, from Fiamma, got to the number 2 executive in that corporation. Nobody ever thought or expected that would, and it wasn't my power company, my mom company, it wasn't. So let them keep thinking that. In the meantime, we'll be doing the work. And then we'll see what happens, October 2023.
So if I may ask, for many politicians, people do their own in-house polling. And what does that suggest to you?
That's why I get the confidence
Okay.
that we will win this, because our own in-house polling tells us where we're behind, where we're ahead. We know the issues, we know the things that resonate with Liberian people. We know what they're kind of looking for in a leader. We have a good sense. I'm this asked me why you asked the question. I'm a very data-driven person, right? And so we got data, we got facts now. And with that and the work we'll do, even if you say we're 3 today, in some parts of the country, we know we'll get ahead because we'll do the work, we know the issues, and we'll find the resources to make our case.
Okay. So I'm going to go to Steve again, but before I go, one last question again, because we have 1 hour. We are already 47 minutes on that here. But let me ask you on this question. Assuming that we believe that now one person, now one party can win an election outright. For the most part, based on our experience from the past elections, is always first and second round. Assuming that Mr. Cummings go second round versus George Weah or versus Boakai, vice versa. What are your plans? What can you do to win other people over? So let's say sedition over, or if it's the other way around, what are your plans to win unity partisan over, given everything that we have seen so far?
Well, I think there's several things. One is, I keep reminding people that at least today, and it could change, by the way, but there are 3 leading contenders. President Weah, former Vice President Boakai, and myself. Tiawan Congress is running. He may emerge, could be a 4th, but today, let's say with 3 of us. And I also remind people that, we're not choosing between Jesus Christ and Muhammad. So even they were not perfect. So we choose from among imperfect men. And so I do believe whether we go up against President Boakai, former Vice President Boakai, or President Weah, given that choice, I think Liberians would support me because of what we offer. But it will also, because politics is about compromise, about negotiation, it's about what's in it for me and you. So we'll understand what people's interests are, and we'll try to accommodate those interests, right? Because that's just, it works in the United States, everywhere in the world. So
Yeah.
we'll understand the Unity Party's interest or the CDC's interest, and we'll try to accommodate to get their support. And we'll have the negotiation, the sort of the wheeling and dealing with they and their supporters. But we also know it's going to be a big tent. We need everybody to come to support us. Politics is not about. This is why I say we will expand the CPP so that we bring other political institutions to join us to help us win this thing.
Back to you, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Kane. Well, I'd like to focus on expanding the CPP. As you said, I want to keep up with that question In expanding CPP, one of the challenges that you guys had was this open mindset of not selecting a standard bearer from the get-go or coronating someone as the standard bearer. Would the CPP still be open for competition as to people who are coming, newcomers, to vouch for the CPP standard bearership? Is that something you would consider?
No, look, I think you're right, Steve. In our country's history, whenever the standard bearership was open and there was debate, that's when they've always fallen apart. And these are historical facts. One of the successes of the CDC's coalition was the fact that everybody coming in knew that George Weah would be the standard bearer. And going forward, that's a learning that we've recognized, and so anybody joining us would know that they'll be supporting me as president, but then everything else will be open for negotiation. The vice standard bearership, everything else will be open for discussion and consideration. But the history will say that when you leave that open, it just doesn't work. We're not as matured politically, where we trust each other enough to make that decision through a democratic process, which is what I was advocating in the CPP. All I said was, let's follow the process, and we'll support the outcome, and it didn't work. So, yeah.
All right. Well, I want to move to something the Senate did most recently that people are not talking about, but I think it's problematic. I think it's troubling. Most recently, the Senate passed a bill with restrictions on Liberians, which I have termed, and other Liberians have termed as discriminatory. Those Liberians who are in the diaspora, where they can't hold certain position, they can't do this, they can't do that. Very restrictive. What does Mr. Cummings' administration proposes for Liberians who are in the diaspora in terms of dual citizenship? And do you believe in dual citizenship?
Well, yes. So I do believe in dual citizenship. I've said that consistently from back in 2016. But let me explain some of the logic. I think what the Senate passed is a bit too restrictive. But we need to understand the logic too, though, Steve and Sekou, in the sense that if you want to hold a very senior position in the government, it's not unreasonable for people to say, because to people to say, look, you can only be a Liberian, or you need to give up your other passport, other citizenship. Because if you're going to make decisions that are going to impact the lives of the people, you got to be forced to live with the consequences of those decisions. If you have another passport, it's happened. People can run away back to the US or to Europe. They make bad decisions, or they break the law, etc. They have an out, they have an exit. So in Ghana, I don't think the Ghanaian rule is as restrictive as ours. I don't know all the details of the Ghanaian rule, but they have some restrictions on what level they allow dual citizenship. But if you want to be minister, if you want to be elected position, you got to give up your American, your Canadian, whatever. I think Kenya is similar. Nigeria, on the other hand, they don't have any restrictions. Once a Nigerian, always a Nigerian. Nigerians don't care. So different countries have different models. We shouldn't be overly critical. We should just understand the thinking, the rationale. And a lot of the expertise that comes from the diaspora, because a lot of that work is done at the director level, the assistant minister level, the head of LEC and stuff, right? Those kind of positions, we shouldn't be restrictive. There should be no rules. But for the very senior policy position, I can understand why some people might say, you know what, you got to just be a Liberian so you can live with the consequences of your decision. You can't run away when you make a bad call and it starts to unravel, or you do something wrong, and then you can head back to Arizona and leave the mess behind. So that's the thinking.
Only Arizona?
I'm talking to two Arizonians.
Well, let me ask Mr. Cummings a question about the Constitution really quick, since we're talking in context here of this whole dual citizenship. Would the Cummings administration focus on any constitutional amendment and reforms? If so, where would that be?
Look, I think we need to revisit actually the entire Constitution. Some of my legal advisors and that kind of stuff, they actually split. Some of them believe we should just continue to use amendments to strengthen it. Some people think we should contemporize the entire Constitution of Liberia. I don't have any one specific area to answer your question directly that I want to focus on or change. But the debate is, do we just keep using amendments to fix things, or do we want to revisit and kind of start over and write a whole new constitution to reflect the realities of the country, technology, where things are, etc. So that for me is the debate. But there's no one specific area of the constitution I say we have to go and change.
Thank you. Back to you, Sekou.
Yeah, so these will be our last questions, and then we will go to the line. Um, Mr. Cummings, I don't know if you recall, during the last elections, two elections, we were told by seditionists and other people that many of Dillon's supporters are in the diaspora. That Dillon can only win on Facebook or in the diaspora. And evidently Dillon won, not only in the diaspora, but also won in Liberia, in Montserrat to be specific. Similarly, people are saying today that if election was held today for president, Cummings will win on Facebook. He will win in the diaspora, but not in Liberia. Do you see a trend here? And if so, what are you doing actually to connect with the people in the diaspora so much?
I don't think I do anything special per se to connect with the diasporans. I think because it's a fact I spend a lot of time in the diaspora, right? I mean, that's a reality. Although I was always in and out of the country, kept my residence here. But I think maybe that's a natural affinity just because I lived there for a long amount of time. But I like to remind Liberians too, again, facts and data very quickly. When I ran in 2017, Sekou and Steve, I had only entered the Liberian party politic for about 16, 18 months before, literally. Nobody knew about Alex Cummings before then. And yet, out of about 20 candidates, we came in fifth. We actually came in third in Montserrat. I don't know if people realize that. It was a distant third, but we came in third. I think we came in third in at least 5 or 6 other counties across the country, right? Distant third, but we came in third, right? We came ahead of Charles Bromsky. That means in all of those other counties, even though he had been around and others have been around much longer. So I said that to say, is that same trend? People say, oh, it's only Wea or Buckeye. Let them keep thinking that. It's okay. In the meantime, we'll keep doing the work. We'll keep making our case. We'll keep traveling around Liberia. We'll travel to the diaspora. We want diaspora support. We want diaspora funding. And we're getting that, by the way, compared to any other political institution. And we make no apologies. These are Liberians. We're not going to do all of these distinctions. Now, I want diasporans, and I will so end. I want diaspora, so we can go to the
No,
question.
it's okay.
I want diasporans to not come here and be condescending and not follow the rules. They get a hours fee. They decide they can do something different. No, but we want diasporans to come and help. They got experience, they got education, they got resources. We want to channel those resources in a way that can help the country. So I make no apologies for my diaspora support. I embrace it. And at the same time, I make no apologies for support on the ground, and I will grow the support on the ground by the hard work we do, the case we make to Liberian people. So I'm very confident, Sekou and Steve, I will do the work.
Okay,
In the meantime,
so
they can be sitting around thinking, oh, no, I think that.
yeah, so my last question before we go to Steve, and then Steve will give last question, then we'll go to the line. First of all, we're going to go to the line in Liberia first. Not only that we confirm that we are on the radio, but we will also attempt to take calls from Liberia because they are listening, and let's see what some of the questions they have for you. So this is about winning the election. We know nobody can win election just by winning Montserrat County. What is the presence of Mr. Cummings' campaign or the political party of the ANC in the rural part of Liberia? How are you structured? How visible are you that you can count on come 2023? Yes, indeed, Mr. Cummings can get a vote in Pribo. Mr. Cummings can get a vote in Bapolu, somewhere in Butuo, Kiamfo and Spain, my own town. How Mr. Cummings is connecting with those people in the rural part, in the hinterland, in the rural part of Liberia.
So the ANC is a national party, is in every county in the country, but we have work to do. I'm not going to come here and not say the truth. We got work to do in everywhere in Liberia, including still in Monserrato. But I will also remind you and your audience that no other party is really active today either, right? So it's a relative conversation, right? And I would argue we are as active, if not more active, than the other. Even the CDC, with all the resources they have, they're not active everywhere. All right. And so, relative to United Party and the CDC across the country, we are certainly no worse. In some cases, we're better, but we still have work to do across the country, including in Monserrato. So I will acknowledge that. And I'm saying to you, we're going to do the work starting in August. I got to do a little bit of travel here, but starting in about mid-August, we're going to start going full blast all the way till October next year.
All right, that's
That's
good to
why
know.
I'm confident
Steve,
we'll win. Yeah.
Steve, so maybe one or two questions from you, then we'll open the line.
Okay.
In
Well,
Liberia first.
this question would go to something that you did most recently. Like I said, I don't know if we're friends on Facebook. I don't know if you accepted my friend request or not, but I can see your writings or your postings. So most recently, we've seen a picture with you and former president of Nigeria, Obasanjo. Some of your critics and some of your supporters have said over the past time you've not used your international connections and influence to benefit Liberia to some extent. What do you say to them? What did that picture mean? Why this time?
So I've known President Obasanjo personally for a very long time. I used to run the Coca-Cola business in Nigeria. And when he first won his first term, civilian term, is when I got to know him. We built a new manufacturing plant in Abuja at his request. And so I got to build a relationship. We grew the business under his administration. So I've known him all along. And he's kind of the godfather of the continent, certainly of West Africa, but of the continent. And so renewing that relationship, getting his advice, recommendation, support is very important to me and something I would use. But Steve, my international relationships, they will not come invest their money just because they know me or like me. They will do it because they believe the environment is conducive for them to make money, to get a return. These people, this is not a charity. These are business people who earn their money legitimately. And they have a choice. Yes, they know Alexander Cummings, but they have a choice. They can put their money in Liberia, Sierra Leone, Ghana, in terms of relative risk. And of all of those countries, our risk profile is much higher because the environment is not conducive. So they may like me, they may know me, but if given the opportunity, or if the environment changes, where it's more business friendly, where the judiciary actually works, where there's more predictability, where there's less stealing and corruption, I can get people to invest in Liberia, even without being president. But when the environment is as corrupt, the judiciary, when they see the judiciary prosecuting me, you think they'll bring their money here? Right? So my point to Liberians is, either the government in power fixes the environment, makes it conducive, makes it attractive, then we can bring people here, and give me the chance to do it. Let me fix it, let me create the environment, and then they will come. Because not only do they know me, but we got an environment right that they know they will get a return from the money, that their money will be secured, etc., etc. So that's the answer to the question. Let's fix the environment, whether me or somebody, fix the environment, and I will bring friends here. But the environment is corrupt, the judiciary doesn't work, infrastructure, and it's not being improved. The criteria for getting a job in this government is you have to be a citizen and you have to be incompetent. Those two things. If you're competent, sedition, you don't get a job. A lot of incompetent sedition, they've left the party or they wherever they are. So with that kind of environment, I don't care who you are, nobody will come put them on you because they like you or because they know you.
Short squeezing question before we get to the lines here for Mr. Cummings. It it would have it would have missed most people, or it would seem as though um, Mr. Cummings is this newcomer and he just want to be president and he not doing dress as we say in Liberia, or he need to fall in line, wait for him own time too. Why do you think? Why do you have confidence in the Liberian people that this time around they will change the narrative? What signs are you seeing that we are not seeing, that other people or past politicians are not seeing? What are you seeing that you're so optimistic that Liberians would make the right decision this time around, come 2023?
So first of all, again, I don't know how widely felt that sentiment is. Sort of fall in line. Some people do feel that way, but is that 5% of the population or 95% of the population? I don't think that sentiment is as widely felt as people like to pronounce. But some people feel that way. I don't know what the percentage is, but we got to be careful when we make those statements, not assuming it's broadly felt. That's one. Second thing I would say is that, and I think there was a study done. Liberia was not part of the study, but I think it applies that in many African countries, because Africa is very young, we are called the youngest billion. That young urban Africans typically vote their interest. Somebody who they think will get in jobs, will get in education, will get in training. They are less likely to vote because you're not standing in line, not your time. They're less likely to vote based on tribe. They vote based on their interest. And Liberia is a young country. The median age, I believe, is 19. 65% of the population is under 35. So we're going to focus on those young people, on trying to appeal to them, on meeting their needs. Similarly, we'll focus on women. Women tend to be more loyal. They tend to look at more your terms, Steve, the pocketbook issues. And we want to address those pocketbook issues because it appeals to the women. And then similarly, the young people, because again, they are not as traditional as people who tend to be older. And that will be our focus. Those will be our constituents. And that's why we are confident. Plus, again, I don't know how widely felt that sentiment is. Some people feel that way. I read that too. But I don't know if it's that wide. And then when people are suffering as they are, people will want a real alternative or real change. And that's why we're so confident.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. I think we're ready for the lines to be open. I'm ready. I already got a call, but we'll wait. You're muted.
Yeah, so I believe you already have some calls now. So what happened is I just got call from the guys in Liberia. They will not be able to take calls because this is weather is really bad.
It is. It's raining.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they will not be able to take calls. So, however, since we are here, I believe you already got some calls because I got the lines open here. So go ahead and take some calls. We, for the most part, I think we get about 15 minutes, a little over 15 minutes here with Mr. Cummings. That way we let's squeeze in some calls and maybe like 5 or 6 calls, the lucky ones.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me get the first call quick. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from, please?
This is Absolute Serious. Steve, how you doing?
Yes, Mr. C. Thank you for calling. What's your take today, or what's your question for Mr. Cummings, please?
Thank you, and I want to say hi to Sekou. Before I throw in my question, the other day he said I was in Arizona. I had meat in my pocket and took it to the airport. That was so funny. He had me cracking up. And I also want to recognize Mr. Cummings. Mr. Cummings, good to see you. How you doing, sir?
I'm well, thank you, Mr. C. How are you?
I'm doing well. I have some questions for you. The last time when you were on Spoon, you indicated that there will be consequences for those who have accused you of falsely. My question there is, do you still feel that way? And if so, when should we see the action coming? The second one is, I would actually love, since your political party is the Alternative National Congress, for you to be releasing an alternative budget to show a sharp contrast from what the CDC is offering. Mr. Cummings, you are seeing the number, they are bad. I always consider the budget as complete wickedness. If you look at the budget right now, they get a judicial branch of government, 15.8 million. But then presidential affairs, who is just an ministry, it gets 20 million. So
Yeah, 20 million, exactly.
that's a, yeah. So, I believe that if the ANC can do that, it will show, that you are having more compassion for the Nigerian people compared to the CDC. I want you to speak to that. Then my last question would be, growing the budget, you're on record for saying you want to grow our budget to at least $1 billion. Correct me with the time, at least in 6 years' time, if I'm not mistaken. My simple question there is, to you, is that bold given the needs we have? Is that enough? And if you think that is not bold enough and not enough, then the next question is, why not at least 2 billion, Mr. Cummings? You know money. You talk about Coca-Cola having 200 billion plus. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Lee.
Yeah, so that was very loaded questions. I hope Mr. Cummings will summarize. But what I'm going to do, I want to get all the questions, then that way you can just answer them. Then we can. So let's take the first one here. Caller, what is your name and where are you calling from? Last 4 DJs 7611.
Yeah, hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm calling from Massachusetts. My question is to Mr. Cummings is, I think I understand that he said they will continue as a CPP and they will bring other people in. I would like to know whether when they do that, it will be under the same arrangement they have now, or will it be done under, will it be a new registration, or does the CPP continue as the CPP stands now?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's go to the next caller here. Caller, what is your name and where are you calling from? 904, last 4 DJ 3989.
Okay, my name is Steve Kenneth Kevin from Seattle, Washington.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, good. I would like to go directly to Honorable Cummings. I am a strong supporter of Councilor Tewon Gogo, who of course going to be president of Liberia come 2023.
Okay.
My question to Eric is, I heard you saying that you have to bring investors in the country, not because of who he is or whatsoever. My question is, before he decided to contest for president position in Liberia, what was the time that he ever brought investors into Liberia? Can you name some of the investors that he brought in Liberia before he decided to go for the president position? Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if Mr. Cummings understand the question, but still, you got calls there? Because I'm getting a lot of missed calls from your.
Yes, I got a call here.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead and take 2 more, and then we will go back to Mr. Cummings.
Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from, please?
Hello, hi. This is Letty.
Letty.
Hello, Sekou. Hello, Steve. How are you? Nice seeing you again, Mr. Cummings. I wanted to ask something on this budget, and it goes in line with the mutilated notes and everything that we have on the market. And in recent times, we saw that the government had gotten more money. I guess they made more money to change and get away all the mutilated notes. But I'm hearing from the common people, like the Yana Boys Market, they still have these mutilated notes. They do not see the money that was brought into the country, and they claim that the notes that is now, the CBL doesn't have any money, and the notes are larger than usual. So, if Mr. Cummings' presidency, what are you going to do with these mutilated notes and all these things that they have on the especially the American dollars that is so old on the market? And if you do remove those from the market, what consequences would you have for those that will hold some of those money so they can bring it into the market?
Thank you, Levy. Let me take this last call here for the day. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from, please?
It may not be last calls because Because you don't
Well, from
even
my
know
end.
what's going on right now.
From my end. Last call from
Yeah,
me. From
okay.
my end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Caller,
No
what's your name? Where
problem.
you calling from, please?
Can I go?
Yes, please.
Yeah, this is Gus Former. I'm calling from Illinois. Mr. Cummings, thank you for the interview. My name is Gus Former, like I
Can,
stated.
can you can you speak a little louder? Can you speak
Yeah,
a
and
little
go
louder?
directly to the
I
question.
can't hear you.
Okay, I'm driving. My bad. Hey, this is Gus Former from Illinois. I'm just calling to interact with your show. I think you guys are doing a great job. I support the CDC. But Mr. Cummings, you are, if I had to make a decision or ever switch, you seem to be the person that would, I think, believe change Liberia. One, for what I do in America, I can't do in Liberia today. And one of the reasons why I can do what I do in Liberia is because we haven't seen the leadership that would support situations like that, like some of us that are technocrats. But my major question, my major reason for calling here is this. Your supporters in the diaspora, how do you get to these guys to understand that in politics or in anything that you do, including business, I'm also a businessman, you have to win the people that don't support you. You don't chastise them. You don't find a way to divide yourself to make you look more better than them. You want to sell your product to them. How do you get to your surrogates in America so that they understand that winning or selling your goods to people requires you giving them the best possible, showing them how much different you are than what they have? So that's my question to you, and I hope you can answer it well. Because some of these surrogates are friends of mine, but it's hard to get to
Thank you.
because they
Okay.
believe.
Thank you very, very much,
you.
folks. Folks, we
Thank you.
apologize. We will not be able to take all of the calls that are coming in. Well, what's going to happen here is that Mr. Cummings will leave at 12:30, which is about in about 9 minutes or 10 minutes or so. But we will be here. We will entertain all your call, all your questions. We that's your opinion. But Telco is on the line. We can't just leave Telco out. And Telco is one of our colleagues here, so we got to take Telco's questions. Tell you are live. What is your question for Mr. Cummings?
Hi guys. Hi, hello, Mr. Cummings. Salvina Cole here from Texas. Um, one question to follow up for the last question that I asked when you were on the show a few weeks ago. I asked about your take on the budget, and you said that you were going to come out with a release in 7 to 12 days. I just wanted to find out if that's out or you're planning to. Also, Mr. Tool, Luscious Tool said that you guys were doing a survey. If you care to speak to us about the outcome of the survey, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tel. Okay, the last one here. I don't know this person, but we got to just the person be on hold forever, and that's the last call. Caller, what is your name and where you calling from? 1441.
Yeah, it is. Hello, and I'm Mr. Hudson. I just got a quick question, or a follow-up, which I already discussed earlier. The people with FD with the political leadership on the meeting or it just has some benefit. And secondly, I support you. I wholeheartedly believe that you be a better president for Nigeria. For us, I think that's for there will be any need for us to come down and be for you. And thank you for the question.
I don't understand the question, Mr. Cummings. Did you hear it? I want to make sure.
No, not. I didn't understand it
All
either.
right, please repeat the question, sir.
Okay, my question was, he said earlier that there's going to be a meeting with MPs. So I was wondering if the political leader would be part of the meeting or
Okay.
it would just be some benefit MPs.
Okay.
Secondly, my second question was, if us are supporting for the diaspora, would there be any other negotiation for us to come down to help with the country?
All right. Thank you very much. People are calling from different part of the world, but we just have to leave it there for today. Caller, I will take.
Sekou, you need to repeat that last question, though.
Yeah, I will repeat it. Hey, I'm sorry for folks. Mr. Cummings, you can't believe the calls are coming so crazy. So I just have to leave it there for today. We'll take these calls after you left. So the people said, the guy said, first of all, you said you're going to have a meeting with the Liberty Party. Is the political leader, Nyomli Kanga Lawrence, going to be a part of that meeting? And then the second part of his question was, he is a supporter of Cummings. What are you doing? Or do you think they need to go to Liberia, or what, to go and make sure, to campaign for you, make sure you are elected? You think they need to do that?
Okay.
So that those
All
are
right.
two questions. So
Yeah.
run through all
Okay.
these,
Yeah.
questions, and
I
whatever
will. And I will start
possible.
from the beginning and I'll work my way down.
Okay.
So the first question was about on consequences. And what I did say that there will be consequences. Uh, but again, upon reflection, I think I want to look forward, look ahead. I don't sometimes Sekou and Steve, it's good to strike when people least expect it, right? When things have gone cold, right? Then you hit them, right? Um, but I sincerely, I think I should look ahead. I should not spend time being vindictive, looking back and that kind of stuff. So as of today, that's where I am. The question on an alternative budget, the person is absolutely correct. I think it was a CA, a Mr. CA. Uh, we should be doing and presenting an alternative budget to Liberian people. And that's something I'm going to work with the team on. Perhaps not for this fiscal year because it's kind of behind us now, but it's a fair push. Rather than just being critical of President Weah's budget, we should say this is the alternative. And so I take that on, I take that feedback very well. Um, there was a question about the CPP and other arrangements. And the answer is yes. We are going to revisit the CPP agreement. We're going to change it. I think Steve asked the question, are we going to have an arrangement where we'll be coming to select the standard bearer again? And the answer is no. That's part of what will change. So we want to keep the CPP. We want to continue to work with the Liberty Party and bring other parties in, but we will change the arrangements. I think on bringing investors to Liberia, I think we answered the question that you have to create the right environment to attract investors, and anything that happens will attract investors. But I will also say, during my time, I've retired now from the Coca-Cola company. 7 years now. It's been 6, 7 years. So I no longer work there. But during my time there, we did Coca-Cola did invest in Liberia. We put in a second production line. We hired more people. We invested in the communities, et cetera, et cetera. So that did happen. But the environment has to be right before you can bring in investors. There was a question about mutilated notes. So we want to separate Liberian dollars versus US dollars. US dollars mutilated have to be sent back to the United States Treasury. To the banks here, they have to send it to the Federal Reserve and they will destroy it. That's something we can do. It has to be sent back, and the central bank should be doing that, or facilitating that happening, if not directly. On Liberian dollars, though, that we control that. They should be controlling that. And it's a fair question, where are all the new notes? We see some in the market, but we see a lot of old notes. They're supposed to be printing notes to successively replace the old notes. So hopefully that'll happen. But I don't hold my breath. The level of ineptitude, of incompetence of this government, I don't say that with any glee, with any happiness, but it's just reality. We will see whether or not the mutilated notes do leave circulation, and that the new notes, as they're printed, and they will come in and replace the old notes. I won't hold my breath, but that's the intent. Let's hope they do it. The gentleman said he's a seditious, but if he didn't support the CDC, he will come my way. I want to find out what it would take for him to come my way once and for all, and not stay with the CDC, because the CDC government is not working. I know he's in the United States. I think he's in Illinois, but I can assure you on the ground, George Weah has failed his supporters. He has failed the Liberian people. It's just a fact. It's not because I'm in opposition. And so I hope we can convince to come our way. And my supporters, yeah, you know what?
No,
Again,
that person spoke of your supporters in the
yeah,
diaspora.
I'm coming to that now.
Okay.
Yeah, so my supporters I do need to have a conversation with our people. They mean well, they are passionate about supporting me, but I do think sometimes the behavior pushes people away. So it's fair criticism, and we need to have that discussion as we go forward. Again, I want my supporters to know we appreciate them, we love them, we know they're passionate, they believe in us, what we're trying to do. But this is about expanding the tent, bringing more people in, and sometimes the tone and tenor of our supporters can actually push some people away. So that's something I need to have a conversation with our supporters with, and I will. So hopefully we can change the tonality. Yes, we'll defend ourselves. Yes, we'll be critical on the other side, but sometimes, as the saying goes, not what you say is how you say, and that's work we need to do. So it's fair push. Telvi asked about the budget. I don't know if I said I will be issuing an alternative budget, which I answered. I said I will speak to the budget. I will be making a speech on the economy and other issues on Monday. So it will be a speech to the nation. It will be a press conference, and it will be primarily, not entirely, primarily focused on the economy, and we'll speak about the budget, Telvi. She asked about survey. We're not going to share the survey results, but we do have some information. As I mentioned earlier, we have a sense of where things are, where the issues are, where we're ahead, where we're behind. But that's information for us to use. If we share the survey and it said we were winning everything, the risk is our partisans say, election over, done, finished, no incentive to work. If we
Yeah.
publish the survey and say we far behind, people say, the man can win, I'm not even wasting my time. So that information is for us to use to drive our effort, our campaign, and we have some of the data we'll be getting more, and we'll use it to move ahead. Um, Question from our partisan about ANC coming. Yes, we want partisans to come to register to vote and to come back for election. We hope that the government would make it easier for partisans or Liberians to vote at the embassies or the consulates. I don't think they will do that. I don't think it will happen. They should. Something we would encourage and try to push them to do. But in the absence of that, partisans can come and register, come back and vote. And most importantly, though, even while you're in the diaspora, you can encourage friends and relatives who live here to support us. And there are three things that win campaigns simplistically. It's more complicated than that. Messaging, mobilization, money. We call it the three M's. If you get the messaging right, how you communicate, how you sell yourself, how you engage, reach other people, if you mobilize and recruit, and if you raise money, you will win elections. And so the diasporas can help with all three of those. They can help carry the messages, they can help mobilize even from the diaspora, and they can help raise money and send out money to people. So I think I covered most, if not all, the questions. Sekou, Steve, thank you again for a good conversation, and I look forward to many more in the weeks and months to come. So thank you all very much.
Yeah. So actually, we didn't talk about a lot of things, especially your visit to Nigeria, the Batanjo and the rest of it. So please, yeah, open your door. We're going to call you again because we really want to know exactly what's going on, and Labrampo people want to know. And I believe, like you or any other politicians, talking more is at your advantage because the more you talk, the more people got to know you, the more they make their decision based on information. I want to say thank you, Mr. Cummings. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. And we will see you again. So,
Thank you.
folks, we're going to continue the conversation. Steve, I don't know if you have calls. I have a caller here, even though Mr.
Yes,
Cummings.
go ahead. Let me go ahead and I'll call
So
one
the
or two.
lines are open. Continue to call, but Mr. Cummings is not here. But I believe Mr. Cummings may not be here on the show, but he will be listening. I believe, or some of the people will be listening. If you have any message, recommendation, concern, definitely they will hear it. So let's go to
Yeah.
the line here. So caller, what is your name and where you come from? 612, last 4 DJ 5436.
Hello?
Yes. What is your name and where you calling from?
Oh, I'm calling from Minnesota. My name is Hector.
Victor?
No, Hector.
Hector, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Yourself?
Great. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, quick question is, Mr. Cummings still on the line?
Mr. Cummings just left. Mr. Cummings is no longer on the line, but I believe he will get your message. Or just tell us what you think about the interview. If you have a question, maybe we can reserve that for another day.
Yeah, the interview, it's a great interview, but I didn't hear anything about like immigration, which is the huge thing for Liberia. We just got a lot of different national group from in the country. We don't know if they have documents. We don't know what the reason in the country. We didn't address that as well. And the policing, we need police. Our police are not taken good care of. Those are the main issues. We have to address security first before going to budgeting.
All right, no problem. Next time we will prioritize that. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it.
I got a call.
Go ahead.
Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from, please?
My name is Michael Tippison, and I call from Minneapolis. Sekou and Moses, you guys have done a fantastic job. Well, this afternoon I want to say hi to Mr. Cummings. So unfortunate that I couldn't get him to respond to me personally, but I know maybe in subsequent podcasts you will have to do this. I want to first recognize that irrespective of politics, we are proud of his achievement, his feat as a Liberian. I always reference this because we need to give people their flowers when they are alive. And the feat that he has reached in corporate America, instead he claimed is a motivation. There is no trace of corruption as a Liberian, as a black man. Some of us who are taking our steps, we are really proud of that. And to encourage him to keep it up. Politically, there are two things that I really wanted him to respond to. One, we all know who Mr. Cummings is in the shortest possible time, what he does, the way he carries himself, and how he operates. We also want to know what is he thinking about with respect to his running mate. Now that the CPP has collapsed, we know that they are all going to contest individually. We want to see the kind of vice president, the kind of mixture, because some of us, when we listen to him, we think he's coming to the table with a structural reform, a breath of fresh air for Liberia, a break away from the past. But we want to know, critical minds and independent people like us, we want to see who's Mr. Cummings bringing, or what is he thinking about, what sort of vice president for Liberia, working relationship he's hoping on, most especially with his recent experience with the CPP. That's one. Two, I was just in Monrovia for 1 month, 5 days. I will encourage Mr. Cummings, and I think he made mention of that, to encourage some. ANC has some of the brilliant people. We can't take it away from them. What we encourage them to do, and that is like just my own observation, is to go back home, and Mr. Cummings plays it right. The three ends: the message, the mobilization. Yeah, some of his supporters may not have the money, but that's where the sacrifice comes in, both for the ANC and for the Liberian society, to go back home. Take the message of Mr. Cummings and the ANC to our people back home in the trenches, and also mobilize, engage in vigorous grassroots mobilization, so that, because Liberians are not stupid, sorry to say this, they are willing to listen. They need an alternative, but the message should be communicated and communicated clearly. I hope in the future you'll be able to respond in the soonest possible time to know what is he thinking about his running mate, because we want to see the vice president too, not just the president this time around. Thank you,
sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. You have another one? I have callers here.
Yeah, go ahead. I have to call this person back because they call.
Caller, what is your name? Where are you calling from? Last 4 DJ 882. It looks like this is Europe. I'm not sure.
Okay. My name is Lynn Sokoe, and I call from the Royal Kingdom of Norway in Europe. I'm so sorry that Mr. Cummings got the line before my comment.
You say you're calling from Norway?
I'm calling from Norway.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm sorry that Mr. Cummings left the line, and he said the question about his supporters being, aggressive against other people. That was just a mere allegation. The caller who made a point, I think he may have a point. He may see a point. But the question is, the supporters of Mr. Cummings, we will not just go and attack people. We know that we need people to join the ANC. So we way people do things is what makes us to react. And when we react, people say we are aggressive. No. Imagine somebody looking at the circumstance, a man who is married with children, with family, already told me and calling me all sorts of names. They get ready to say this. And of course, when the tension was high, Mr. Cummings was in court. Okay? They were trying to, ridicule him, jail him, or do all kinds of things. What they wanted to do. And then people come here calling me news. I mean, they had to come back and then to retaliate. But, a mission friend now, when Mr. Cummings himself has, asked his supporters to grant all arms, figuratively speaking, I think it's time for peace. And all of those people who were also aggressive against Mr. Cummings, they too should now know that what their behavior was, what was causing Cummings supporters to get at them. We are all agreeing at the end of the day. Okay, we sit and see each other, we meet and talk. So we should all be polite, we should all be fair in our political argument. Because you don't know what will aggravate me, and I don't know what will aggravate you. See? So I think we got to look at both sides of the coin.
Thank you.
Common supporters, but you should also blame what they said and what they did. So we will draw all arms down, we will hang on, we will hang everything, and then we'll all do one like this, and we can
okay.
And we'll all move to 2023. Thank you very much.
Caller, thank you. Before you go, let me say this though. I just want to clarify something. I think the concern about Mr. Cummings' supporters are somehow, a little bit strong or harsh, in their conversation. I don't think it was about area where you have to respond to some unscrupulous elements that will come to attack his person, his personality, or denigrate him. I will not tell my supporter not to respond. But the thing about that, the thing what Mr. Cummings was talking about, and what many people have argued, is that Cummings supporters and the ANC people should spend more time in educating the people about who Mr. Cummings is and his plan for Liberia, what he can do for Liberia. Especially even at some point, when some people come and attack Mr. Cummings, use that opportunity. You know what? You may not know who he's talking about. This is what he is, and this is what he is all about. So it's like taking advantage of the people ignorant, to educate them. So, but there are certain people. Listen. There are certain people in Liberia will say, "Baso medicine," it's a baso medicine, a bad medicine. So there are certain people you got to respond to them in the same manner, because they don't understand anything. Their motive is to come and denigrate, insult, and disrespect the person. So any Cummings supporter, especially from the lower level, respond in the same manner. I don't care about that. I don't think that's a problem. But hierarchies, people who really make decisions around Cummings, key supporter people look up to. When people come to prove they are ignorant, all you need to do, use their ignorance and explain to them, talk to them as to who Mr. Cummings is, and educate them about his perception, his policy prescriptions as to how he will change Liberia. That would be his advantage, as opposed to responding to them and fighting them stupidly.
Talking to you, I'm the director of communication for ANC Global Europe. Okay.
Okay.
We have our own show. We have our own show, which is called the Bottom Line, and we do discuss very thoroughly. And we have had people coming there and talking all kinds of things. Of course, for once, especially me personally. Okay, my position as a global, as the ANC Global Europe communication director, I will not go and attack anybody straight on my show or on the Facebook. But see, we got people who, no matter how much you talk to them, they will not believe. So then the mind are made up.
No problem. Thank you, brother. We're gonna leave it. We got other callers. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
So he was calling from.
I got two callers here.
Always, yeah. Take all the callers again.
Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from, please?
Yeah, thank you, Steve. My name is Yang Koi. I have followed the conversation. I just want to first appreciate both you, Steve, and Sekou for a well presentation. I think this conversation was brilliant. One of the things I said
this particular platform apart is the fact that you bring different questions. It's not always the same question about CPP. You dive in the conversation about the budget. You dive in the conversation about social issues, and and even issues that happen in America and how that will relate to Liberia. And I think a lot of us that listen to this, we feel like you bringing out information that we need to hear so that we, at least to make some informed decisions. So, it's not always CPP. I just want to appreciate you guys for the line of questioning. And I think Mr. Cummings was exceptional in trying to answer those questions. Again, it's a good question, deserve a good answer. So I think it was indicative of that. So I just want to say thank you very much. I appreciate this platform for giving Liberians the kind of question that they need to hear and the kind of answer that Mr. Cummings will provide. And secondly, I just wanted to address something quick about Mr. Cummings' supporters. I think like any other political party, Mr. Cummings has passionate supporters who will defend Mr. Cummings to the nail. And, they will say they will fight anyone. They will do anything that try to tarnish Mr. Cummings' character. It's not only unique to the ANC. I think other political parties do the same thing. But again, the criticism is fair. I think it's something that we should take as we should take with grain of salt and move on. We'll learn from it, and I think we can improve. I'm a big ANC supporter. I think a lot of you will know. But it's great to have this kind of conversation. It's not always every ANC person that is out there doing things that maybe other folks don't like. But again, the criticisms are fair. I like Mr. C's question about the alternative budget. I think Mr. Cummings answered that right. So thank you very much, guys. I just wanted to appreciate that. But before I go, I just wanted to make some quick announcement about a gentleman called from Illinois. And I think one of the things that he said was he asked Mr. Cummings some good questions. And Mr. Cummings will be in Illinois on June the 24th. So if you can make your way there, you can call and we will give you information. He will be in Illinois on June the 24th to the 26th. He will be in Florida on July 1st to the 4th. And he will be in Hanover, Germany on July 8th. If any of your listeners, you are around there and you have questions or you wish to engage,
man, you can't come here. You can't come here and give publicity on our show without.
Man, slow down.
You got to pay for that.
We're thinking of that. But I just want to appreciate you guys and say thank you.
No problem. Go ahead. We don't need to interrupt you. You're just joking. Go ahead.
I got two people here. Let me get the other caller really quick.
Yeah, I'll have a caller too when I proceed.
Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from, please?
Hello, Steve. Hello, Sekou. As usual, this is Rosalind Cooper calling from Dallas, Texas. Just want to say thank you guys for a beautiful show as always. You ask the question that people want to hear. Like Steve always talk about the bread and butter issue question you guys always ask Mr. Cummings. And I think that should be across the board for all of these candidates that want to take on leadership of our country. They should avail themselves to the Liberian people so people can get to ask, the bread and butter issue questions that affect their daily lives. This whole issue about ANC partisan, being hard or, talking to people in a negative way, that's politics. You will have some members. I'm one of these members that will go out and defend Cummings no matter what. When he's been attacked in the public unfairly, his supporter will stand up and fight back. But then I understand, we're in a different time. The tone and tender should change. We're working on that. No one is perfect. We're not saying that we are the best of all the best, but we are just one bunch of passionate people that will support our leader. So we understand we are shifting over to another stage, another phase in the whole process, and we're going to adjust. But I hope people who are, calling and making these complaints, when issue come out and they see that Cummings is being attacked, because lies move faster than the truth. And when some lies are put out in the public, if you don't come out and debunk it in the stronger way possible, it sticks. So that is why you see ANC people coming out here and trying to defend Mr. Cummings' reputation, defend his integrity. But we understand, we get it. The voters are important. We need everybody on board. We're trying to build this big tent to bring everybody in. And as we are about to shift to the second phase, or we already in the second phase, you will see a whole different side of the ANC supporter and partisan out here, because we are, doing our own work in the background. And I want to say to all of you out here, ANC partisan, what meaning Liberians, you heard from Mr. Cummings today. Politics is not cheap, my people. It takes money to run a.
Hello,
I think we lost her.
Roslyn. She just went mute. I'm not
All
sure
right,
what's going on.
I got two calls here.
Yeah, take your two calls. Let me return these other calls that I've missed.
Hello, caller. What is your name? Where are you calling from? 2319. What is your name? And where are you calling from?
Hey, Sekou, how are you? This is Duke.
Hey, Duke, how you doing, my brother?
Not bad, splendid show. Let me say this. Steve, I like the research you did, man. I like the low rate high question. I think it was very strategic, and it shows that you did some work. That's why I love the show, man. You guys do your research, so it's great. But quickly speaking, because I know you have a lot of colors.
Sure.
Look, Mr. Cummings continues to set himself apart. Tell me anybody or show me anybody in the opposition or that will be vying for the presidency in 2023 that have been very clear, direct about the vision for this country and talking about practical, economics and how it impacts the Liberian people. And I think today he moved the needle. And we expect to see some distractions because every time he comes on SKTV and some other people will come to bring distraction, but we're not allowed that to happen. So I think it was a great job on that part. Secondly, Sekou, look, Liberia needs somebody with vision. And I think that's what Mr. Cummings brings. And he continues to tell our people, right, the solutions, the kind of things that drive economic results. Like he spoke about, investors, and they're not, coming there to do charity, but they're looking at the conditions of the country. So I think those were his strong points. About ANC partisans and, a lot of people, I know we're on social media. There are a lot of back and forth. This is a tense political environment. Liberians as a whole, we're very passionate when it comes to things, right? But I encourage everybody to look beyond individuals and think about the country. Look, if Liberia, if you agree there is something wrong with our country, then you should also agree that individuals should not stop you from working as hard as you can to give Mr. Cummings a chance to change our country. So overall, Sekou and Steve, brilliant job. We will be breaking down this show on Unapologetic. Please join us on Sky 107.1. Yes, Sekou, we're talking about Mr. Cummings' vision for Liberia. We started doing that. So please, when you have the time, stop by. We'll cover this particular interview today. Thank you guys. Great job, and I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Well,
So,
I got two callers. I got to get Rosalind back because she texts.
yeah, but hold on first. Let's get those first-time callers. Then
Go ahead, please.
So, caller, what is your name and where you calling from? 310, the last four digit is 5282.
Basically, what you're doing is SB Don calling from Toronto, Canada.
SB from Toronto, Canada. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Listen, man, you and Steve, you guys did a great job. As those who follow me know, Mr. Cummings is my choice for presidency for Liberia, and I think him coming on today again to showcase all of his leadership qualities and what he offers to Liberia, I think is a great thing. I'm just going to be short to say. You guys, are really doing a great job on the show and continue the work that you're doing. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Just in my response to this whole thing with, supporters of Cummings and those who are ANC, I don't consider myself a member of ANC, even though I love the ANC. I'm an independent. I support people who share the same ideologies as mine. So the only thing I'll say is, you made a comment earlier that, if people are dealing with those in the hierarchy of the ANC, they have to be more careful how to respond. If it's lower level as you refer to them, you didn't care. I think we just got to be careful with that because some folks may not get the opportunity to deal with the hierarchy of the ANC, and the only interaction that we get will be those who are considered the grassroots supporter. So even at that, including myself, sometimes I get a little carried away, but we have to be careful and be more understanding and tolerant of, the distraction that will come our way. So that's what I just wanted to say. So thank you guys so much.
Point well taken. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. We appreciate it. Steve, you guys take our calls?
Yes,
Steve?
my name is Jonathan Dolake, Steve.
Yes, Jonathan
And I want to
Dolake.
say Jonathan Dolake calling from Oakland, California.
Okay.
I'd like to say how's up to you and Sydney for a job well done for our country. And also to Mr. Cummings on his deliberation on your show. And specific 2 points that I don't want to mention very quickly today to put out of quarters is the issue of ANC supporters and, trying to defend their institution. I mean, it is quite fair many of the colors have been mentioned. We do not have control over our too many members. We would try to have some level of control over our executive committee members, our global leadership. But when people are passionate about their leaders and has such a historical track record of the leader that the leader will say, to know the performance of the future of individual, you should look at the past. And so if the past is so clear, and then people are trying to bend the character, of course, anybody will come out angrily to respond to such a thing. But we're going to be more focused on the goal of getting Mr. Cummings to the leadership, and some of the shenanigans that is then placed on his character, we will deal with it, given that we now understand that he's a force within the political sphere. But very quickly, one message that Mr. Cummings has always mentioned, and many Liberians or our recruiters should follow is that Mr. Cummings' concern is not necessarily to become a president. If becoming a president, we will make it difficult for Mr. Cummings and all opposition by creating a developmental path, by bringing decency to government, by bringing accountability to government, efficiency and proficiency to government. If that would deny Mr. Cummings of being president, that should deny him, because that is what all Nigerians are needing for. Good electricity, accountability, efficiency, and having a real value for the job that people are doing, that people saying there is no good job, just taking salary of the government. Those are our concerns for the year. And as long as there is a competitive test, we are willing to let the president take over for the good of our people.
Thank you, sir. Let me get this last caller here. Let me get this last caller here for the day.
That's fine.
Mark Jabate, if you're still watching, I sent you a message on Facebook. Either call Siku or call me.
Yeah, he said he wants to call. He said he wants to call on WhatsApp, but I don't know which of the number he's calling, because both number. The second number here that ends with 0783. That is a WhatsApp number. You can call that. You will get us. Or Mike, if you have my direct number, you can call me on WhatsApp. We will get you. So, yeah, we still have some time. We still have about 10 minutes to go. Yeah, Steve, if you have another caller, that's fine. You can call it or not. So let me just address some of those. You have a caller?
I don't have another caller.
Okay, so let's have some brief conversation here while we await the calls to come in. So
me, I want to talk to them. What is it? ANC man, I didn't man. So I just shut my mouth. Just my
okay. Okay, so that's fine. So some people kind of like misconstrue what I said when I mentioned lower level supporters. Lower level does not in any way, shape, or form means to denigrate or disrespect some support of Cummings. The point I was trying to make is that if you are the chairman or chairperson or chair lady of one of the, let's say, one of the constituencies of Cummings, let's say for a county or a district, or maybe here in the diaspora for ANC Global or ANC Liberia, once you are one of the hierarchies, the statement you make, the way you come across, somehow represents the institution you are a part of. Like say somebody that nobody knows, nobody cared about, is somebody, they see somebody insulting Mr. Cummings, that person can come and insult you back. Who cares? You cannot. There's no way, Mr. Cummings, or any political party for that matter, like President George Weah or Boakai, nowhere, there's no way you can control everybody that supports you. That's not possible. But you must have some control, some level of control over people in leadership. So when they're speaking, they should be very careful what to say, that they represent the image of the party, of the institution that they are part of. That was the point. And that is, I maintain that. If you're in leadership, a lot is expected. You should behave like a leader. Let's say, for example, if I come here and talk anything to Kumis, you don't like it, anybody can come here and say, hey, blah, 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 and say anything to me. I don't care. But let's say if Aloysius told, come here and say something, definitely I will respond. Because you know what? I know they're not just anybody within the ANC. If I can say, like the last time, for example, Sidisha used to attack me all the time. But when what's his name? Eugene Fagon was serving as deputy minister for Press and Public Affairs. He came on the platform to attack me, and I responded. So it's different when dealing with ordinary people, ordinary member of the organization or any institution. Is quite different than dealing with people who are in leadership. Much is expected from the leaders, and leaders are expected to make the case. Even if somebody come across being stupid to you, educate them. You need that stupid person to vote for you. So that is the point. But if Mr. You know, let me call my own name. If Mr. Seku, nobody somewhere call and express their opinion, or to go and attack somebody for insulting Kumis, that is right. But the big people in Liberia, we call it the big people there, the people there who people listen to, they got to be careful. They got to know how to talk. They got to know what to say. They got to know how to say it. Like Mr. Kumi said, it's not about what you say, but the way you say it. So that you can't come across as a bunch of elitists, bunch of people who are already, they feel they know better or they're better than other people. They look down on other people. If you come across like that, people will get angry at you. You'll be losing support. I can remember somebody calling me directly and call names to me, Seku. I swear to God, I can let Kumis, I can support Kumis. But because of X and Y, Z person, I can't just see myself supporting ENC. Some people call me and tell me that. That is not because they hate you as a person, but the way you come across, the way you address issue. And politics is not for children. If you're not a politician, just be quiet. Support Kumis the way you want to support him quietly. But if you're not a politician, you cannot speak the political language, be careful, man. You will not be, instead of being an asset for Cummings, you will be a complete, not only a distraction, but you will be a liability on him. Just get that clear. And Cummings, I'm glad that Cummings talked about this today and in the open, that he understood it, and there's some talking to be done, which is good. That shows some level of leadership in him. But talking is one thing, action is quite another thing. We want to see how you be going to behave moving forward. We will know whether Mr. Cummings talk to you or not. But if Mr. Cummings talk to you and you say behave the same way, that means you don't like Cummings. That means you don't want Cummings to be president. That means you're just there for yourself, trying to be popular at his expense. I just want to say that. So I don't want to look down on anybody. There's no disrespect or nothing. I just want to make sure when I say low, even, let me just say this. Some of you don't understand diplomatic language. When big people that when they're going somewhere and they can't make it, you know what they can say? They will send low-key representative. Low-key representative, doesn't mean that person is on the floor. It means that person is not at the highest level like other people. Low-key, low-level support or this and that is not an insult. It's just a description, a descriptive adjective to tell to describe the person in their startup. It doesn't mean they are low life. That when we say low life, that's insult. When we say lower level supporters, it doesn't mean that means people are different from the people in power, the people that make decision. Because people that make decision when they speak, it reflect on the party or on the institution they represent. Just to help some of you understand. Steve, back to you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Connett. Like I said, I really don't want to say anything about this whole Cummings or ANC issue. My call that I had to make was to ask Mr. Cummings the question today. I'm done with that. Mr. Cummings and ANC can handle it with other people, however they want to handle it. I've taken a different trend and a different route. I would speak to issues that concern me, and whether they want to handle it low level, high level, however they want to handle it, I ain't got nothing to say about it. Let them do what they want to do. At the end of the day, the Liberian people will elect who they want to elect, and we would be here. We'll make the case. But tomorrow, we want to make some announcements. I'm at SB Dawn. I'm talking nothing. Leave me, man. Tomorrow, we're having Deconti as our guest on the show on mental health and wellness. Tomorrow evening, we'll be here. And being here tomorrow, we're talking about domestic violence and abuse. So please be on tomorrow with us. Deconti will be here as our guest. Saturday, we are on. Sunday will be on as well.
As a matter of fact, I even forget to communicate with this with you though, because I just got a confirmation, and I will be sending the picture to Telco in a little bit that the Minister of Internal Affairs, Minister Vani Salif, will be on SKTV on Sunday.
Okay, we'll be here.
The Minister of Internal Affairs, Republic of Liberia, Minister Vani Salif, will be on SKTV this coming Sunday to discuss the issue related to the Hajj, people that go to the pilgrimage in Mecca. There are a lot of fight going on right now among people that are responsible to carry on the Hajj. And the Internal Affairs Minister is the one that can tell us exactly what is going on, what is right, what's wrong, and the best way forward. So Minister Vani Salif will be here on Sunday, the Minister of Internal Affairs, to discuss the Hajj issue. Who is the leader? What are the processes they follow? And how it works? And people that go to market. Some people call it Hajj, some people call it pilgrimage. So if you don't understand it, come here and listen. The minister will address all of your concerns. Anything that you want to know. That's probably the misconception, but make sure you are. Even though I'm going to be in Dallas, as a matter of fact, I'm leaving tonight for Dallas. I will be in Dallas tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. I will be getting back on Monday. However, we'll still do show from Dallas. Steve will also be on, I believe. Telco is going to be the election time over there in Dallas. I'm not sure of her availability, but yes, indeed, we'll have show. And Minister Salif will be on Sunday. Steve?
Yes, I have Rosalind. I wanted to complete her thought quick. She called back.
Hey man, let Rosalind move on here, man. Rosalind can show favor when Cummings is here. When Cummings is here, I think you can see her.
You hear what she said? You hear the excuse? You hear the excuse? Every time you go to Dallas, she's not available. You hear the excuse?
Oh, what she say?
Rosalind, please say what you just said, please.
Sekou, every time you come to Dallas, I'm not here. I'm always out of town. Like I'm leaving tonight for Atlanta.
I say you fun girl, go anywhere you want to go. You see, every time Steve can there, you're not there. Anytime Steve can there, you're not there. But anyway, My telco is there. So telco can't wait to see me.
Sabina will hold the ground. I know she will hold
I
the
know
ground.
Tevina will hold the ground, and other people too. A lot of people telling me that they can't wait.
And Lucy will be here. Bobby Crawford will be here. Everybody will be here.
Mr. Connie, I beg you, don't go hang out with ANC people. What they say, they don't buy SKTV. Stay away from them. Go to tell.
I was going to tell because tell that SKTV queen. So that was
ANC member should have been our ANC Texas chapter in the park supporting us. So
what you say?
She said, "Tell can be with ANC people."
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something that Roslyn and the ANC people they don't know. You see that Dallas there? Dallas is like my home. It's like my second home. I got a lot of family in Dallas and Houston. A lot of them. So they're not competing to me. They're not competing to me to talk to my people now. ANC people not competing to me. Yeah, everybody, the Unity Party people. They wouldn't people that can compete to me, most of the time that the Liberty Party people there. That's why I got a lot of friends in the Liberty Party. But ANC people they can't compete to me. The things say because we can see some good people for me, the things that are supporting them. But I'm not supporting you.
The moment, okay, so it's like a crime to say you support ANC. The moment anybody friends with ANC, people start to attack them, attack on us. So we just try to leave it as it is. And the news media should be independent, free, and fair. And we appreciate you guys, what you guys doing, your independence, you're fair and balanced. We appreciate that. But notwithstanding, though, it will come a point in time where everybody will have to take a stand.
Of course, there will be time people will take a stand, and the people that can be in town when their friend they come in, they put them will not listen to them.
Exactly, we know what we take stand.
The people that can take care of. We went to Pennsylvania. We look at them.
Yeah, can you imagine? That's why I say I'm leaning towards the Liberty Party. Can you imagine the chairleader of the Liberty Party? Why she took care of?
Yeah,
you kidding me?
No, that lady is nice. That lady is nice. I don't know about the rest of the Liberty Party people there, but that lady, what he said.
Yeah, how what kind of Florida will what?
Beatrice Kanga is very, very nice.
And I'm returning your call. I don't see ANC phone no more.
Anyway,
now go ahead, make a point, please, so we can go.
Anyway, so yeah, just to wrap up my thoughts, as I was saying to all well-meaning Liberians, Mr. Cummings is out here making the kids, and he needs the support of everyone. And I wanted to say that to run an election is not cheap, and this 2023 election will be the most expensive election in the history of Liberia. I mean, the government will spend the money. They will spend our money. They will spend your money to stay in power. So no opposition can outspend or match the government in terms of funding. But we can prepare ourselves. And like Mr. Cummings said, we will spend our money wisely to win. So I want to use this public media to call upon all Liberians, all well-meaning Liberians that want to see change in Liberia, to help support the movement, because I see the whole Cummings presidency as a movement for change. So I want to use this public media to call upon all of you to please support our fundraiser. We're not looking for you to give us a whole lot of money. What we're looking for is for people to sign up for a small dollar donation. Let's say, for example, we have 5,000 people giving us $5 or $10 a month. That would go a long way to help us do the groundwork in Liberia. So we will be in Florida on the weekend of July 4. Mr. Cummings will be in Europe the following weekend of July 8th to the 9th and 10th. He will be in Chicago coming up next week, June 24th to the 26th. So we call upon all of you, if you are in these states nearby, to please show up and support. We'll be sending out our information for you to sign up. to support the movement. You sign up for a $5 contribution every month, $10, $20, whatever you can afford.
Steve, how will you let this lady to come here and make promotion for
Yeah, that the thing I confused about say
for free.
Okay, my time is up.
So you're using
So no, she got to pay for it. She can come here and come.
Promotion now. You have to. There's no free commercial. I have to pay for commercial. How am I paying?
Yeah.
There's no free commercial.
Okay, so
I'm
you
just
know.
So please send me the bill, Steve.
Okay. No, me and me was saying the bill. That's Steve because Steve don't know how to charge
I
people.
want you.
Because Steve is so nice. Okay, Steve. Do a hall. Let you pay the bill.
Yeah, I will pay the bill. Believe me, I can pay. Send me the bill for. I didn't use the airtime that 1 to 2 minutes. They don't charge me too much.
No,
but yeah, I mean,
we don't charge for a minute. We charge for talking.
As well, you guys. I know you guys. Pay for airtime in Liberia. We have to support the platform. I mean, you guys can set aside one day in a month, and then I can make myself available, and we can come on and raise some money for the platform. Because you guys do have to pay a bill to keep the message going.
Okay,
we appreciate that. So, Steve, any other announcement? Yeah, I gotta go now.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we have to go. Thank you, Raslin.
Right,
I sitting here. My wife comes on thing right now. It smells too.
Mr. Kane, they people that don't understand something. Let's get to our announcement. Tomorrow we'll be on. Please, guys, tune in. We'll be on with Declan T from Minnesota. Declan JJ. We'll be on. Please tune in tomorrow so that we can have this conversation. We'll also be on Saturday and Sunday, like Mr. Kane said. Saturday we're not 100% sure, but we're working with Victoria Kwekwe, who is senator aspirant for 2023 elections. She wants to run. We are still coordinating. If the schedule allows us, by tomorrow we'll confirm if she'll be on Saturday or not. But we'll let you know. Please tune in. Follow SKTV if you haven't liked the page.
And again, see, another announcement I wanted to make. I forgot. SKTV will carry live the debate in Lofa County, the senatorial by-election. So the debate, I think it's going to be this weekend. We will carry live.
Yes, in Lofa County. Yes.
In Lofa County. So our correspondent, our reporters are on the way to Lofa, and it will be carried live. The place you want to be is on SKTV, so you can get all the G's, everything going on in Liberia. Steve?
Yes.
That's what I got to say.
Thank you. Mr. Kane will take it home from here. Let's have a good rest of the week, guys. Stay safe. Stay out of the heat. This time, you can only complain about Arizona. Every part of the country had now. So you're on your own. Anybody want to blame Arizona, you're on your own because you're safe feeling the heat. So you'll stay out of the heat. Let's have a good day.
All right.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh, na 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 na. Just let people them. It will make people them.
D12 on the beat.
I know they send you to monitor. Go try them say you not see me yo. I know they send you to slow me down. Go try them say you not see me yo. Doubting you. Doubting pinching you, yeah, yeah. You choose to live, you want to live. I choose to live, I want to live. Oh, yeah. worry me, move from here. You come to stress me, move from here.